Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the 2022 Year Ahead Vedic Astrology readings. So these readings will be looking at the planetary placements in the year ahead. So the planetary placements on January 1st, 2022 and how they relate to your chart. Of course, as usual, to get a more in-depth personal reading, a personal reading will be required. And I am opening up readings for year ahead readings, Vedic astrology, Western astrology, as well as some tarot reading options. And the link is below in the description box for that. Also, if you're interested in taking one of my online courses that I offer over on Teachable, those will only be available through the end of 2021. And those include the Journey Through the Nakshatras course and Shedding Light on Your Karma and Dharma. Those courses include PDFs and downloads. So if you're interested in those, you want to get them before they're not available anymore, check below, find the links. I'll pin them at the top of the comments as well so you can find them and see if it's something you're interested in. All right, let's get on to our year ahead readings. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your 2022 year ahead Vedic astrology reading. So here we have a chart for you on January 1st, 2022. And let's start with your first house because there's a lot going on. So the first house is the house of the self, you, the individual, your physical body and form, you can say your personality. And here we have the moon, the sun, and Venus. So let's start talking about the moon. The new moon, as you know, new moons are when the moon conjoins the sun, is actually on January 2nd. So, but that adds to new energy for the new year, of course. At this time, 6 a.m. on January 1st, so I had to tweak the times to get Sagittarius in this first position, the moon has just moved into the nakshatra of Mula. At midnight on January 1st, 2022, the moon is actually in the sign of Scorpio still, your 12th house, in the nakshatra of Jeshta, along with Mars. So I'm going to read the energy of both of those because I don't feel it is insignificant that the moon switches nakshatras and sun signs the day of the new moon. Okay, so I'm reading it both for those who have the moon in their chart that I pulled up in Mula. I hope that makes sense. So but with the moon here in your first house, that brings in the energy of being more emotional, more empathic, more intuitive in the year ahead. With the moon, again at midnight, the moon is actually in Scorpio, in Jeshta, in your 12th house of the psyche. Scorpio, the sign of the esoteric, the occult, death, change, transformation. It's intense. 12th house is emotional as well, psychological. I feel I kind of feel this transition energy. You Sagittarius, either towards the end of the year or into 2022, possibly throughout the year, but it feels like maybe the first half of the year, that you're feeling this transitional energy of coming out of, for some, maybe deep emotional healing, for understanding yourself psychologically, possibly even your shadow with Scorpio energy here, as well as K2. Or just coming out of a challenging emotionally time, or a time when you've been trying to understand and develop your intuition and possibly psychic abilities. It's very intense. Yeah. And I do feel there has been a lot of, or potentially will be, right, into 2022, a lot of exploration. Scorpio is a sign of research, diving deep into your own psyche and psychic self, I'll say. So the moon here at midnight on January 1st is with Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, so the ruler of your 12th house of the psyche, in Jeshta, very intense nakshatra, Gandanta point. Mars brings in this, I feel this strong drive, right? It's the arrow. Sagittarius, the bow and arrow, the archer. There's a strong drive to hit those bullseyes within your psyche, to understand yourself in a way you have not desired nor been driven to in the past. Now we have Ketu here, who represents past experiences. So in a natal chart, he's like past karma, past lives. In a transit chart like this, a chart for the year ahead, it's most strongly the past year or few years, but it could be any past of your life. Going into 2022 and throughout the year, many Sages will be digging deep into their past to understand themselves. And as you understand more, that motivation, that drive to take off with it, to aim at those bullseyes of what you want to accomplish and do, like it grows more and more. And then looking at the energy of the moon here in the first house for the chart with the adjusted time of 6 a.m., I feel like, yeah, as you understand yourself more, you then are able to empathically, intuitively, psychically understand how you, first house of self, connect and interconnect with others. I feel that's like a mouthful summed up. But it's growth. It's growth. So also in your first house, we have the sun here, represents your soul. That which shines out of you. So with the sun here, I feel like Sagittarius, a lot of you, maybe all of you, are going to be shining in 2022, probably because of all that you are healing and bringing up and being motivated by, and those targets, those bullseyes you want to hit, and your greater emotional, empathic, and intuitive awareness. And again, that's all relative to where it has been in the past for you. So it doesn't mean you're all going to be like super psychics, right? But it's more in tune emotionally and intuitively. And you're going to get noticed because you're shining bright. January 2nd is the new moon. So there's adds to a lot of new energy for you in the first house for you, in the sense of self. So more than any of the charts that I've read so far, and I'm about halfway through, Sagittarius, like 2022 is a year for a new you. I almost want to say some of you will be like completely reinventing yourselves based upon what you have and will continue to understand and learn from yourself and digging into your emotional past. Okay. In your first house, we also have Venus here. Retrograde tends to internalize the energy. So I actually want to say, like, as you invent the new you, it's both internal, your sense of who you are, your sense of self, or parts of your personality coming out and be able to express themselves more fully. It's like, I don't feel like you're just, not going to be who you were in the past, right? It's growth. It's transforming. It's like caterpillar turning into the butterfly. Same creature. It's just grown. But I also feel with this Venus retrograde here, your sense of, I guess you could say, self-love and appreciating who you are and how you have grown and continue to grow comes to your like more conscious awareness. And then in general, Venus here, like that whole sense of like a new you, reinventing yourself, new year, almost a new moon, that many Sagittariuses will want to change their look, change how you dress, change how you wear your hair, express yourself, this combination, expressing yourself, your physical form, first house, expressing yourself in a more beautiful and authentic way. So like if you've been afraid to, let's say, get that tattoo, but you really want it, you do it and you still shine. Okay. That's a lot there. All right. So moving on to your second house, Sagittarius. Second house is a house of money, gains, and finances and possessions. Gains that don't necessarily come from your career. It's often other ways, but sometimes that does overlap. I call it the house of stuff. It's just a very material house. we have the sign of Capricorn ruled by Saturn, who is here in Capricorn. Lots of stability in your finances. If you don't have that stability going into 2022, it calls for that stability. Saturn likes things to be stable, steady, long-term, calls for you to be patient with your money and finances. And most importantly, anytime I see Saturn in the second, it's invest for the long term. Whether that's actual like investments, any purchases, don't go on shopping sprees and purchase things on a whim. Don't beat yourself up if you do either. But with this energy here, against Saturn rules Capricorn, so he's very strong here. You want to be very wise. Think of Saturn as the old man, Shani. Be wise with your money and finances this year. And Saturn will pay you back with long-term gains and stability. Mercury is here as well. And this combination is very like, do your books, balance your checkbook. Do people do that? Balance your online banking, whatever. Be meticulous, plan it out, do your spreadsheets, whatever it is you have to do. Be very Virgo-like with your finances this year. Okay. But it does say that there are things to save. Saturn also say like, put your money away, save what you can, set up your retirement, whatever it might be. Again, long-term investment. So don't buy that used car that's going to break down next month. Buy something new, but at a reasonable price, just for an example. But very well thought out and well planned out, long-term thinking with your finances and possessions. Okay. Third house, we have Jupiter here for you, sign of Aquarius. Jupiter brings growth and expansion. He's the great benefic. Third house of communication, short distance travel, short trips, day trips, community, neighborhood, and so on. It does feel very movement and travel orientated, but of course it can play out as like, you're working on a blog and that grows and expands and so on, or you start talking to people more, you communicate with people more. It is the humanitarian sign of Aquarius, which is also very social. So there might be more social gatherings where you're talking and so on, or writing groups, things like that. But what I feel the strongest is more trips because you're Sagittarius, you like to travel. Third house is though short distance travel, more weekend trips, day trips, this and that. Doing more, I kind of want to say going out, fun stuff, exploring. It doesn't mean it can't be overseas or long distance travel because you're a Sagittarius, and that's part of what Sagittarius likes typically. But I feel it's like more getting out and about in this year of 2022. It could be because it is the sign of Aquarius, more networking as well. Okay, and lastly, we have Rahu here, part of our karmic or nodal axis here. Rahu is down here in the 6th house of work, health, daily routine. So work as in service, volunteering. It can be connected to your career, but doesn't always have to. It could also be your hobbies or a side business, for example. Rahu represents drive and motivation. He's the head of the snake or the dragon, and karma you want to put into action, or karmic actions, you could say. Where a strong karmic focus is in the year ahead, right? So for some of you Sagittariuses, it could be more of service, doing some volunteering or more volunteering. When it comes to health, this just puts a lot of, it's the head, right? A lot of focus on like, I want to take care of my health. If you had to pick a New Year's resolution, I would focus it in this area. The other areas of life feel like the energy is in play and is happening and will happen. But with Rahu here, it's like, if you want to, lose weight or take care of your health or start training for something or just exercise a few days a week on a consistent basis, Rahu will help with that energy tremendously. It's that motivation. It's like, here's the focus. Let's put this into action and keep doing it, right? Consistency. And it's very stable sign of Taurus, your 6th house. Yeah, and when it comes to hobbies, or if this is work related to your career, Rahu's going to bring in more ambitious drive, to grow your career, get moving on a career wherever you are in life, what stage you are in life. It's good motivation for that. Okay, so that's looking at the chart for the year ahead for you, Sagittarius. A lot of personal growth going on. Very powerful, a new you, reinventing yourself. For some of you, it may be a huge reinvention. Others, it may be less subtle to the outside world, but you're definitely going to feel like 2022 is a year for you to just shine who you are. All right, Sagittarius, thank you again. Important links are below in the description box, and wishing you a wonderful 2022.